is the time for us to stand up, together, as one.
Transformers fans rejoice. We have an absolute banger of a video for today. Yes, it's none other than exploring the one and only Optimus Prime. Now, I know the Peter Cullen voiced Optimus Prime character was amazing, but we have to check out this latest version of the character, voiced by the God of Thunder himself, Chris Hemsworth. So, get ready for some insane transformations as the Autobots roll out. In Marvelous Videos, Optimus Prime's new origin from Transformers 1, backstory, key relationships, and powers explained. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The making of a leader. Optimus Prime's new origin story in Transformers 1. Now, how have the origins of the beloved truck changed in the latest installment of the Transformers series? Well, Transformers 1 gives Optimus Prime's origin a new dimension. In the movie, we meet Orion Pax, a young Energon miner in Cybertron who, contrary to the great leader we know today, was just a lad with an adventurous spirit and stands out from others. Orion and D-16, before he became the iconic Megatron, break into the Cybertron archives to watch ancient recordings. Orion had ambitions. One day, he got bright ideas about entering an Iacon 5000, a legendary race on Cybertron. Though D-16 was unwilling, he finally yielded to Orion's enthusiasm. Spoiler, they don't win, but hey, they get noticed by Sentinel Prime. Too bad that notice leads to smelting duty instead of a trophy. It's here that the pair encounter B-127, who would become Bumblebee. They stumble upon a message from a character named Alpha Trion, one of the original Primes, and the legend of ancient wisdom in Transformers lore. The message comes along with a map, possibly one leading to the legendary Matrix of Leadership. Orion, being the eternal optimist, is convinced that this will be their ticket to much bigger things. He convinces D-16, B-127, and even Elita 1, whom Orion already knew, into joining him on this quest. What could possibly go wrong, right? A lot, it turns out. They do find Alpha Trion, but he spills the tea on Sentinel Prime, revealing that the so-called hero betrayed the other Primes to cozy up to the Quintessence. Naturally, D-16's first instinct is to solve things with a little murder, while Orion is still on his justice must be served high horse, insisting they bring the evidence back to Iacon. Real Boy Scout vibes. But here things do not go quite according to plan. Alpha Trion is captured and killed by Sentinel, and Orion and the gang are tossed into the Cybertron High Guard's jail. D-16, never one to sit idle, confronts the leader Starscream, yep, him, and briefly takes control, but is quickly ambushed by the forces of Sentinel. D-16 and B-127 are captured, so it's left to Orion and Elita 1 to pick up the pieces. At this point, Orion has sunk to rock bottom, but Elita 1 revitalizes him by reminding him of who he's supposed to be, a leader. Moved by her words, Orion gathers the miners and a few High Guard members to stage a coup. Amidst the turmoil, D-16 finally cracks, and we witness the scene that signifies the end of their friendship. After nearly killing Sentinel, he finally lets go of any shred of loyalty he had to Orion, delivering the coldest line in Transformers history, "I am done saving you," as he lets Orion plummet into Cybertron's core. This is a gut-wrenching moment when D-16 finally embraces his new identity as Megatron. But don't worry, this is Optimus Prime we're talking about. Orion gets saved by Primus himself, and in a total chosen one moment, he's given the Matrix of Leadership. And boom, he's no longer the scrappy miner with big dreams. He's Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots. And when he returns to face Megatron, yep, D-16 went full villain. Optimus banishes him and his cronies to the surface, restoring balance to Cybertron. Once this war is won, Optimus uses the Matrix to revitalize Energon flow and alter cogs for the Cybertronians, thus beginning the new era of peace. In an act of leadership, he calls his team the Autobots, short for autonomous robots, signifying their freedom and refusal to never again be subjugated.
We have to stop him.
From Orion Pax to Optimus Prime, the hero's transformation. Before he became the legendary leader of the Autobots, the champion of justice, and delivered all those inspirational speeches, Orion Pax was a free-spirited Energon miner with a knack for finding trouble. He was dedicated to his job, sure, but let's be real, mining didn't exactly light a fire in Orion's soul. He was always looking for the next great adventure, and usually dragged his unwilling best friend D-16, also known as the future Megatron, but more on that later. Around on some harebrained scheme or another, D-16 would roll his optics, go along for the ride, then regret it, only for Orion to argue that rules are meant to be bent, especially if it meant impressing their idol, Sentinel Prime. Orion was short-sighted in that fun, adventurous way, you know, the type who challenges the status quo without thinking through possible consequences all too well. Still, despite all his machismo, he wasn't irresponsible. When trouble hit the fan, and it did often enough, he was the first to run headfirst into harm's way to save anyone in trouble. His heart was always in the right place, even though his head was not always on straight. The respect he showed for Sentinel Prime was off the charts, and he wasn't afraid to go to great lengths and break the rules in order to get attention from Sentinel. This was not good news for Orion, since the reality about his idol was a bitter pill to swallow. When he and his gang were made aware that Sentinel had sold out the Primes as well as his race to the Quintessons, the world came tumbling down around Orion. An always confident, positive bot dropped off of hope and into questioning almost everything he thought he knew. It wasn't all bad, however. That was a defining moment for Orion. Maturity began to kick in, but so did self-doubt. Despite his natural leadership qualities, his friends followed him everywhere after all. Orion never saw himself as someone who could lead. He didn't think he was good enough. This is where his friendship with D-16 began to fray. As D-16 started spiraling into paranoia and rage, Orion, the eternal optimist, didn't know how to help his friend other than to keep bonding, joking, and trying to pull him back to the good side. It worked for a while. Behind all that drama, though, lay a resilience at Orion's core. His gut feelings and willingness to put others first had managed to create personal allegiances with bots such as Elita 1, who was basically babysitting him, advising him not to lose hope in himself during his slight moments of self-doubt. So it was through that need to save his friends that he ended up saving himself. Then there was the battle with Sentinel, a do-or-die battle. Orion, still grasping on to hope that his old friend D-16 could be saved, declared that no more violence was necessary when Sentinel fell. But D-16, filled with venom, was not hearing any of it. He turned on his villain mode, deciding that Sentinel had to die, and when Orion stepped in to stop him, he took the hit instead. D-16 captured his friend, but held on to him for only that moment, before being overcome by his anger and letting Orion plunge into the core of Cybertron. That was the moment when D-16 lost whatever pieces of friendship he could have had with Orion and became Megatron. But it's not the end of the story for Orion. The Primes watched from their mystical VIP lounge. They concluded that Orion had acted selflessly and thus earned for himself a seat in the matrix of leadership. In this epic cosmic software update, Orion's body was overhauled. Out emerged the one and only Optimus Prime. Meanwhile, D-16, now fully Megatron, ravaged the stolen transformation cog of Megatronus and evolved himself into the Decepticon leader. The former best friends clashed in an intense but brief battle. Optimus realized that Megatron was beyond redemption, and in a hard decision, exiled him and his loyal High Guard. Though it was a crushing blow to see his friend turn to the dark side, Optimus Prime had matured in his position as leader. He was no longer that free-spirited miner looking for every excuse to rebel. Instead, he came to realize the full weight of his responsibility, shifting from wild adventures, and finding the rationale for rebellion to save his world, defending it from invading Quintessons, and preparing for the inevitable threat of Megatron and his Decepticons. Key relationships that shape Optimus Prime. You do not just become the legendary Optimus Prime overnight. No, it's all about the company you keep, or in some cases lose. So let's take a look into the Autobots' who's who of character development, and explore the connections that molded our favorite hero. Now, we obviously have to address the elephant in the room. Yep, how did the two mortal enemies that we've seen on the big screen for so many years start off as friends? And how did that friendship end? Well, we've already tackled most of it, but we'll just go through it once more. I mean, who knew the big bad wolf Megatron was besties with our beloved Optimus Prime? Orion Pax, our ambitious and adventurous Energon miner, and D-16, strong, brooding companion made for an odd couple, with Orion's free spirit balancing D-16's more cautious, or rather grumpy nature. D-16 would be the voice of reason. Well, sort of. Still, Orion had a way of convincing him that breaking the rules was totally worth it. However, cracks started forming once they discovered that Sentinel Prime was betraying the Primes. When D-16 finally snapped, transforming into Megatron, their friendship was left in the dust, along with any hope that Orion could save his old buddy. Their fateful battle saw Megatron decide to take revenge over everything, and Orion was sent down to Cybertron's core. He fully embraced the darker aspect of himself. Orion, in true heroic fashion, received his upgrade to Optimus Prime from the Matrix of Leadership, but Megatron was irretrievable. Though his old friend Optimus gave him a shot at redemption, it was too late because Megatron had gone over to the dark side. Can't blame him though, I heard they have cookies. Now, we can't look at Optimus Prime's relationships and forget our old friend Bumblebee, or as he's known in this movie, B-127. If Optimus Prime is the head of the Autobots, Bumblebee is the heart. Even before his ascension to Prime, Orion Pax had a bond with B-127, formed during their time working in the smelting pits. While Orion was the idea guy, coming up with crazy plans and rallying others to his cause, Bumblebee was the plucky, brave bot who always had his back. Through every challenge, B-127 stayed loyal, following Orion into battle and always believing in the greater good. I knew I loved this bot for a reason. And let's not forget the fallen mentor, Sentinel Prime. Orion Pax looked up to Sentinel with the very wide-eyed admiration that most bots reserve for legends. He was the Prime, after all, the leader, the one intended to encapsulate every good thing about Cybertron. When Sentinel was revealed to have been a key enemy in selling out the Primes and their race to the Quintessence, it knocked Orion over like a ton of Cybertronian bricks. Sentinel is handing over the vast bulk of the Mind Energon to the Quintessence in exchange for the right to rule Iacon City. Sentinel finds it difficult to fulfill the Quintessence quota of Energon because there's only a limited amount of Energon that can be retrieved without the Matrix of Leadership. As a result, he took away the transformation cogs from the working class, including those in Orion and D-16, and made them mine Energon. To stay in power, he intended to carry on deceiving the working people and supplying the Energon. In an attempt to deceive people and divert attention from the real issue at hand, he spread false information about the existence of the Matrix of Leadership. Talk about a thirst for power, huh? Finally, we have Elita 1, who was not only a strong, effective fighter, but also one of the only bots Orion Pax could connect with once those seeds of doubt had been sown. As his partner in their search for Alpha Trion and the Matrix of Leadership, Elita 1 was the emotional pillar for Orion. She wasn't just a backup in this or any other fight. She was the voice that reminded Orion of his self-importance whenever he doubted his own capabilities. Powers and abilities. The Prime strength in Transformers 1. Going from Orion Pax to a full Prime, Optimus Prime's transformation was not only about moral power-ups, it comes with some serious physical power-ups too. Being Cybertronian, Orion Pax had strength and endurance characteristic of his kind. He was built tough, could transform, and handle everyday dangers, working in Energon mines. But for all that, he was basically the Cybertronian equivalent of a rugged work truck, good for the job, but not exactly built for combat or leadership. Everything changed when Alpha Trion came into the picture. A new T-Cog upgrade was bestowed by the Ancient Sage that made Orion Pax's transformation ability better and changing. Now, he's both quicker and more versatile, and has a better edge as the challenges approach. It was the first indication of change that Orion was meant for something far greater, though it was the Matrix of Leadership that really proved to be the game changer. It was a complete transformation when Orion received the Matrix. His battle-worn body was healed, and he got great strength and the wisdom of ages. He was no longer just a bot with some potential. He became Optimus Prime, the leader carrying the strength of a warrior and holding the wisdom of ancient primes. His war prowess was amped to super levels, and was also unbeatable in battle. The strength and durability granted to Optimus Prime put him on a whole different level. He was invulnerable to attacks that would flatten most bots, and would still keep going. His link to the Matrix granted him both physical strength and strategic brilliance needed to command the Autobots. With such powers, Optimus Prime became not just a leader, but a legend that portrayed the strength, resilience, and wisdom of a true Prime. How Transformers 1 sets up the future. Transformers 1 does not only tell the origins of Optimus Prime, it's setting the stage for the Autobots' future and a long and hard struggle to free Cybertron. It's that spark that sets off an epic saga wherein Optimus Prime develops from a feckless minor pilot to a full-fledged leader who shoulders the responsibility of an entire metallic planet. And boy, does it show us why this guy is the bot for the job. First off, the film shows us the bromance and eventual breakup of the century, Orion Pax and D-16, the latter of whom we all know goes on to become the brooding, planet-wrecking tyrant Megatron. Their friendship turned rivalry is the emotional core of the film, and it sets us up with a future filled with epic clashes. As D-16 goes into Megatron territory, we get to see the early days of the Decepticon war machine, laying down groundwork for a civil war that would haunt Cybertron for eons. And Optimus Prime as leader? Yep, it's gonna get real messy. But someone's going to have to clean up after the mess Megatron is leaving behind. So what exactly does Transformers 1 set up for the future? Well, a never-ending battle for Cybertron, definitely. But most importantly, it shows that Optimus Prime is not just the hero Cybertron needs, he's the one it deserves. I just hope he doesn't pull a Harvey Dent from Batman and decide to live long enough to become the villain. So here's to dying as a hero. Marvelous verdict. And that marks the end of yet another marvelous video. It was really amazing to take a look at the world of Cybertron. As nostalgia meets new-gen animation, I was hyped to see this movie. As our thrilling adventure through the world of Autobots draws to a close, we hope you're excited as we are for the future of the Transformers franchise. What about the series do you love the most? Was there anything specific about the adventures that captured your curiosity? Let us know all about it in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. It means the world to us when you help us grow. Until next time, guys, it's goodbye. Have a good one. If you like our content, like it and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone!